New Horizons could rewrite everything we know about the planets of our solar system.
And if you think about the solar system, the so-called terrestrial planets, they're rocky objects in the inner solar system. You know, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars have a lot of similarities. Then you step out a little bit further and you get into what are called the gas giant planets. These are huge objects which are dominated by large amounts of molecular hydrogen and helium gas. And that's Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune.
And that was it. We sort of stopped there. And then there was the little misfit Pluto at the outer edge of the solar system. Poor little Pluto, all on its own.
Then in the 1990s came a series of discoveries that changed everything. A massive region of icy bodies in the outer solar system that we call the Kuiper Belt.
And once we discovered the Kuiper Belt, everything sort of fell into place. The understanding that, in fact, Pluto and Charon are members of this other class of objects called the ice dwarfs.
And in fact, we think that these ice dwarfs are the most populous class of planetary body in our entire solar system.
That tells us, from that respect, Pluto's not special. It's got lots of company out there.
Pluto and Charon together would barely stretch across the continental United States. From its size and orbit, astronomers estimated that Pluto is perhaps half rock and half ice. That makes it one of the largest of a whole new class of objects, the ice dwarfs, living out in what's known as the Kuiper Belt. This region is named for Gerhard Kuiper, a leading mid-20th century planetary astronomer. Kuiper suggested that the solar system didn't end with Neptune and Pluto, but that there should be a disk or belt of other worlds somewhere way out there. In 1992, from a mountaintop in Hawaii, David Jewett and Jane Liu found the first Kuiper Belt object. They were using new and highly sensitive CCDs, like the sensors in a modern digital camera. But their technique was essentially an updated version of Tombaugh's work. Take carefully registered images of a patch of sky and see if anything moves against the distant stars. This one, QB1, did just that. Jewett and Liu had found the first Kuiper Belt object. It was just a few hundred kilometers across, about the size of an asteroid. In 2002, Caltech astronomer Mike Brown and colleagues found a Kuiper Belt object half the size of Pluto. In 2004, Sedna, another world, 3/4 the size of Pluto. Brown kept on looking, using computers to do the work of Tombaugh's blink comparator.
We do exactly the same thing. Clyde Tombaugh is the one who basically figured out the system for finding these things, but we do it all by computer instead. These are 3 images in a row that are blinking on the screen, just like Clyde Tombaugh would blink. On the morning of January 5th, 2005, I was looking at these very images, and I clicked the button saying this one's no good, and I suddenly see this object here very clearly moving across the frame in dead center. This is the one where I almost literally fell out of my chair, because it's perhaps it's close to being the brightest object we'd ever seen out there, and it's also moving extremely slowly. Slow means it's far away. Slow and bright means it's really big. If you combined more distant with anything we'd ever found and almost the brightest thing we'd ever found, you knew immediately that this thing had to be the biggest thing we'd ever found in the outer solar system. The very first thing I did is grab my telephone and called up my wife, and I said, I found the 10th planet.
2003 UB313, the random name assigned by Brown's computer, was 25% larger than Pluto. Until an official name was chosen, Brown came up with a temporary nickname, commemorating Percival Lowell's search for Planet X.
We had actually been reserving the name Xena for the first object that we found larger than Pluto. We wanted something that started with an X for Planet X. We wanted something that was mythological. Now, Xena is only TV mythology, not real mythology, but we figured Pluto is named after a cartoon dog, so that's okay. And we wanted something that, we decided there weren't enough female planets, so we were going to name another one female planet. So if you take those 3 together, you get Xena.
But some astronomers argued that Pluto and Xena, as Kuiper Belt objects, should not be classified as true planets. And in August 2006, in a controversial decision, the International Astronomical Union relegated Pluto, its moon Charon, and Xena into a new category called dwarf planets. But to Brown, the new discoveries far out in the Kuiper Belt only make the New Horizons mission more exciting.
Pluto is the closest member of this new class of objects we're finding. The next best thing to studying all of these objects out there is to go look at some of the big ones. Go look at Pluto. It's not the biggest one out there, but it's the closest really big one that we can learn a lot about. So I think that going to Pluto is much more exciting today than it was even a year ago.